How did you enjoy the fight?
I thought it was great. I thought they were all great. Have you ever seen that before? Have you ever witnessed that?
No, it's
First time.
Something, right?
Yeah.
First time.
5.
Those are seriously tough people.
Any of the fighters say anything to you?
Yeah, they all said. Every one of them came up at the end, and they were great. I mean, they're all warriors. You know, they're modern-day warriors.
What did you tell them, sir?
Just good fight. I mean, the ones, they all came up, every one of them. You saw that. And very respectful of the office.
Trump took a bullet and said, fight, fight, fight. You know what he's about. Afterwards, he got on Air Force One and had his granddaughter, Kai, meet his favorite opponent.
You know the fake news? This is the fake news.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How are you guys? Good morning.
The fake news turned the Oval Office into the octagon today. And you won't believe who they were fighting for. Remember the MS-13 gangbanger that the media calls a Maryland dad? Well, he got deported, and now CNN wants him back.
You said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You know, you have no credibility.
Yep, the press is fighting to have gangbangers smuggled back into the country. And if they're not smuggled back in, they're calling it a constitutional crisis. Mr. Kilmore Garcia, who broke into the country under Barack Obama, was arrested in 2019 in the company of other ranking MS-13 gang members. Homeland Security called him a verified member of MS-13. And 2 immigration judges upheld that he was MS-13. A judge thought Garcia was so dangerous, he denied him bond and called him a flight risk. The reason he wasn't deported earlier was because Garcia's attorney convinced the judge that if he was sent back to El Salvador, a rival gang would kill him. Sounds like a gangbanger to me. Trump designates MS-13 a terrorist organization, and we're not just going to let foreign terrorists, gangbangers, hang around, so we shipped them home. So the MS-13 lawyer sues, and this little district judge, Boasberg, says he wasn't supposed to be sent back to El Salvador. He can be sent back to any other country in the world except El Salvador. It's his home country. Boasberg says you have to turn the plane around. And the Supreme Court was like, no. Boasberg, butt out.
It's very arrogant, even, for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens. A district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who, again, is a member of MS-13, and I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children.
CNN doesn't want to be neighbors with MS-13, so why does CNN want men and women in Maryland to live next to him? This so-called Maryland dad wasn't coaching girls soccer. He was human trafficking. That's what Homeland Security told us. CNN wants more human trafficking in Maryland?
I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
The White House says, you're asking us about a citizen from El Salvador who's now living in El Salvador. Why don't you ask the president of El Salvador, who happens to be sitting right here?
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to not suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always how
can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
CNN just asked the president of El Salvador if he was going to smuggle a terrorist into the United States. The president of El Salvador thinks we're crazy. Democrat Senator from Maryland, Chris Van Hollen, is demanding to meet with El Salvador's Presidente. And if he doesn't get a meeting with the Presidente, he says he's going to fly to El Salvador himself. Rachel Morin was a Maryland mom. She was raped and murdered by an MS-13 member from El Salvador. And Van Hollen never flew to El Salvador to confront anyone. Van Hollen's trying to get a guy out of prison whose gang murdered Rachel Morin. Why aren't Democrats meeting with CEOs of American companies that ship jobs overseas? Maybe we should be asking for those back, not an MS-13 gangbanger. What are Democrats and the media actually asking for here?
You are all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you? He could be with his family. Does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if he came back here? Does any of you know? Any of you?
Do you really
you've been writing. I'm talking now. You need to stop. I'm talking now. Does any of you?
Why was it unanimous?
You're done.
You can't undeport a terrorist. They want us to fly a terrorist back to Maryland? What? So a judge could fill out some paperwork and send him right back to El Salvador? Or do they want to fly the terrorist back here and just have him hang around in Maryland? The president of El Salvador couldn't believe how the media was asking about returning a terrorist instead of how Trump secured the border.
Why are those numbers not in the media?
Well, they get out with the fake news, like CNN over here doesn't want to put them out because they don't like putting out good numbers. They only like putting out because I think they hate our country, actually.
When CNN went back on the air, here's what they said.
I just want to say, for the record, since we heard President Trump say in the Oval Office that CNN hates our country, CNN does not hate our country. That should go without saying.
Maybe it doesn't go without saying. Maybe a lot of people on that work don't hate America, but they definitely don't love it.
Everything they're doing runs against making America great.
Well,
it was never great, so I'm not going to say the again part, but making America great.
Here's a breaking news. We live in a racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic country.
When we got our freedom, our quote-unquote freedom, we were never restored whole, which is why you hear about reparations. So until the United States atones for that and makes good on that, we're still living in a racist country.
If America is so bad, why are millions of foreigners breaking into it? Trump's deporting so many foreign criminals that AOC's running out of friends.
We must acknowledge the terrifying moment that we are in right now. And that what we are hearing and seeing with our own eyes is, in fact, happening. We are watching our neighbors, students, and friends being fired, targeted, and disappeared. It is real.
AOC's been hanging out with the wrong people, if these are her friends. 7 gangbangers from Tren de Aragua got picked up this weekend. Not the kind of people you want to live next to. Sushi John was also iced. Who's Sushi John? He's the Chinese spy who was running a noodle shop in New Jersey. Trump wants every bad hombre out.
How many illegal criminals are you planning on exporting to El Salvador?
As many as possible.
Homan's going back to college. Florida universities are partnering with ICE to scoop out illegals. Chicago and Philadelphia are canceling Cinco de Mayo parades because they think Tom Homan's going to show up and arrest everybody. But why? Trump loves Cinco de Mayo. The taco bowls from Trump Tower are muy bueno. The president of El Salvador says keep sending them here.
Sometimes they say that we imprison thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions.
This isn't about the people who get sent back. It's about keeping the millions here safe. This is Donald Trump's octagon. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.